Okay, NXT TakeOver WarGames 2019. So I don't know what exactly I can say about this show. There were some good parts, but there's some very worrying concerns I have as well, and it's not just the obvious ones. If you've seen my other reviews for the NXT stuff recently, we'll be touching on that as well. But there's a lot going on right now because NXT is also part of Survivor Series, and there's kind of talks of I don't know if they're going to drop takeovers altogether, but there's been a lot of talk of, we're not going to do them during the Big Four weekend anymore. Maybe we'll just fold them into the Big Four proper, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. And unfortunately, I'm beginning to see this as kind of beginning of the end for the NXT takeovers, at least. I mean, not NXT in general. I think it'll still be around, but yeah, there's a lot of weird things. Like, for example, our show had a kickoff match for the first time we had a kickoff match on the kickoff show, obviously. So, I mean, now they're not taping they don't tape NXT in advance anymore. They're doing it live every week. They're not going to be, we're going to tape 2 or 3 quickie matches and just run them for a couple of weeks afterwards. So, obviously, I guess that means we fold them into that. And also, 205 Live for last night was canceled, but the show in general was not canceled. They just decided to hold off on that, and I wonder if this was just a holdover from that. It's Angel Garza versus Isaiah Swerves Scott. I didn't write that down very well. So yeah, this is obviously a cruiserweight match. Right off the bat, like, both men simultaneously slapped each other across the face. It was actually kind of a cool spot. Scott hit kind of cartwheel into a splash move. Scott came back in a springboard European uppercut to the back of Garza's head. Garza traditionally comes down to the ring wearing tearaway pants as part of his ring gear, and then he has normal wrestling trunks underneath. And he got his tearaway pants off and he threw them in Scott's face and used that to land a super kick. Garza hit a slingshot inverted suplex, and followed that up with a super kick. Garza hit a Shattered Dreams-esque drop kick. Basically, he mounted Scott up in the corner, and instead of running and going directly into the low blow, he ran and did a drop kick into it. Scott came back, hit a DVD on the ring apron, and then hit a double stomp to the outside. Scott hit a move called the house call. Basically, it was kind of a jumping heel kick to the back of Garza's head. Garza came back and hit the wing clipper for the 3 count and the victory. So, Angel. So that's where the wing clipper comes from. Then overall, it was a pretty decent match, but kind of a typical kickoff show fare, or generally what you would see if you watch the NXTs after Takeover, before, like the original NXTs before they went after Takeover, because they were just kind of there, a lot of filler matches and then recap stuff. And so one of the other things that happened during the kickoff show is they had Mia Yim get attacked backstage. She was knocked out of the WarGames match. Rhea Ripley eventually chose Dakota Kai to replace her. Kai was not interested in doing so, but eventually the others talked her into it. And it made a lot of sense because the first match on the show proper is the Women's WarGame match. Shayna Baszler, Bianca Belair, Io Shirai, and Kaylee Ray versus Rhea Ripley, Candice LeRae, Tegan Nox, and Dakota Kai. Just picture Dakota Kai in Mia Yim's place for that picture there. So, yeah, again, the WarGames rules are, because Baszler's team won a ladder match. I can't remember who was in the match, but they won the ladder match, and they get the advantage, essentially, because they get, you have 2 competitors enter the ring, but then Baszler's team gets to put a member in first at the end of a 5-minute period, and then every 3 minutes after that, a new member from each team comes in. So, and to leave the cage after the match starts, after the match officially starts, when the last competitor enters, they get to, if you leave the cage after that, it's a forfeit. So, yeah, pinfall and submission is the only way to outright win the match. So, again, no cage escape. Shirai and Candice LeRae started. Shirai insisted on starting. Basically, Baszler was gathering, trying to decide who it was going to be, and then Shirai just kind of barged by and ran down the ring like, okay. And then when that happened, LeRae followed instead. and Shirai countered out of a flying head scissors and hit two tiger fin kicks as LeRae was mounted in between the two rings inside the steel cage. And Shirai hit a metal drop kick, or no, drop toe hold, sorry, on the metal ring divider in between the two rings. The next team for Shayna Baszler's team was the next member from Bianca Belair was the next one in the ring, okay, for Team Baszler. She hit a chicken wing slam on LeRae. LeRae managed to kind of fight out a little bit. Belair powerbombed LeRae into the steel cage. She then Belair put, boy, I can't talk all of a sudden, sorry. Bianca Belair then put Candice LeRae in a rear chin lock, and Shirai hit a big running drop kick on LeRae. And then Rhea Ripley was the next one out. She grabbed a series of weapons, including garbage cans and kendo sticks and chairs. Started to grab a table, but then put it back for some reason. I think I'll explain later. Threw a bunch of weapons in the ring, definitely helped even the sides up. Next up for Team Baszler was Kaylee Ray. She also grabbed several weapons. I think she was actually the one who grabbed the table, not Rhea Ripley. But Kaylee Ray left the table. I just had that in my notes right there. She came in, she hit a tornado DDT on Rhea Ripley. There was a Tower of Doom spot to send Candice LeRae, Io Shirai, and Kaylee Ray, sorry, down onto a pile of steel chairs. Belair hit a 450 on Ripley after that. Then Dakota Kai was the next entrant, but she did not actually enter the match. Instead, she immediately wheeled around and attacked Tegan Nox, jumped her, went after her, grabbed one of Tegan's knee braces from her surgically repaired knees, the most recent tear, the one that took her out of the Mae Young Classic, and then grapevined Nox's knee, in that surgically repaired knee, into the bars of the steel cage, beat her, and basically then just walked out. And Nox was in no condition to compete after that, so when Shayna Baszler was the next one out, they basically said, it's 4-on-2, we go to a match completion from this point on. Yeah. So yeah, it's 4-on-2 at this point. Shayna Baszler grabbed a set of handcuffs, got one around Rhea Ripley, but didn't quite get the other one set up. LeRae and Ripley began to fight back. They got some weapons, they fought back. Ripley suplexed Kaylee Ray into the steel cage. Baszler and Ripley both locked on submission holds on on Io Shirai. There were two submission holds. I'm sorry. Shirai fought out of it, got on top of the cage, and hit a moonsault onto Belair and Candice LeRae and took both of them out. Ripley took Kaylee Ray out with a garbage can, but that enabled Shayna Baszler to lock on the Kirifuna clutch, and she was choking Ripley, but Ripley managed to get the other handcuff and lace it around Baszler's arm, so the two were now connected. She couldn't quite fit, she had to fight out of the hold, she had to let go of the hold, and that enabled Rhea Ripley to get a big pump handle slam on some set up steel chairs and cover Baszler for the 3 count of the victory. So overall, really, really good WarGames match for the first ever women's one. I kind of had the feeling once they did the 4-on-2, it's like, okay, well, this will either be a quick finish or they're going to do something that will allow the babyfaces to win. And I actually thought when Shirai went up to the top rope because of the whole leave the cage as a forfeiture, I thought something was going to happen, like Belair was holding LeRae in place, and I thought, oh, are they going to do something like LeRae pushes Belair and into the steel cage, and that knocks Io Shirai out, so it's a forfeit? Or are they going to do something else? And obviously they did something else. I think it was definitely for the better. I do like the gimmick with the handcuffs coming back to bite Shayna Baszler. Definitely sets up Rhea Ripley to be the next competitor for Baszler again, and probably going to be the one to dethrone her. Don't know what they're going to do with Dakota Kai, because it seems like now everyone wants to feud with her. I mean, Nox, I guess, is going to be selling the injury again for later. Or I don't know, maybe she'll go back to NXT UK at this point. I'm not sure, but definitely interested in how this turns out. Okay, up next is the triple threat match with the winner getting a shot at Adam Cole, Bebe, and the NXT Championship the next night at Survivor Series. It's Pete Dunne, Damian Priest. I wrote down his name on the Indies, which was Punishment Martinez here for some reason, and Killian Dane. Right off the bat, Dunne tried to go after Dane, who whipped him into Damian Priest. Dunne bends Dane into position, does the elbow stomp thing on him, does the finger break and then the elbow stomp. Dane broke up a Razor's Edge attempt with a crossbody and hit a Michinoku driver on Priest. Dane hit a follow-away slam with Samoan drop combo on the outside of the ring. Dane and Priest powerbombed Pete Dunne. Did a double team powerbomb basically. All three men at another point did kind of running knees into each other simultaneously, like all at the same time. They just had this big car crash type feel. Priest hit a broken arrow chokeslam on Dunne, but Dane broke up the pin. Priest hit the Razor's Edge onto Dunne through an announce table, and that took him out for a chunk of the match. It looked like, okay, maybe Damian Priest is going to win this, or Dane is going to win this. Priest actually came back and hit Razor's Edge off the top rope onto Killian Dane, but Pete Dunne broke the pin up. Dane hit Priest with the one-winged angel. Dane hit a cannonball on both men with them set up in the corner. Dunne hit the bitter end on Dane, but Priest broke the pin with a kick. Priest hit the Reckoning on Pete Dunne, but Dane broke that pin up. They began fighting a little bit more. Pete Dunne hit the bitter end on Damian Priest. Dane tried to break it up, but he went for the one-winged angel on Pete Dunne. Dunne fought out of that and locked on a sleeper hold. Dane did a running senton onto Priest, but that actually enabled Pete Dunne to basically cover Priest for the 3 count and the victory. So yeah, Pete Dunne wins, and he's going to be facing Adam Cole at Survivor Series for the NXT Championship. Really a good, solid match in this. I think there were some points, it seemed a little too confusing. Like, there were points where you could tell guys were clearly waiting for spots to be fully completed before they did their move, and it didn't quite live up to, I think, what it could have been. It could have been a lot better. Obviously, Dunne being the only babyface in this scenario, and Adam Cole being a heel, so I don't think they were going to do a heel versus heel match at Survivor Series. You knew that Dunne was probably going to win this going into it. But other than that, it was decent enough. Okay, our next match is Matt Riddle versus Finn Balor, and I'll try not to be too ranty on this. I really will, but I'm going to probably be a little ranty on this. Sorry. Yeah, Finn Balor's a heel now. After he returned to NXT, he then attacked Johnny Gargano and took him out, so Matt Riddle replaced him in the WarGames match, but then Riddle decided, no, I'd rather go after Balor. And, yeah, just crap. I'm sorry. I have no problem with them turning Balor heel. Again, he should just be on the main roster. He shouldn't be back in NXT. And the reasoning, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. It's just terrible. I don't like this story. Early on, I will say this, Balor is a very effective heel. Like, early on, he hung around the ring ropes so that way, Riddle couldn't get a strike on him or anything of that nature. Riddle eventually got in fought out of a head scissors. He attempted a roundhouse kick, but then he hit a series of rolling gut wrench suplexes. Balor got out of that, hit his coffin drop kick. Balor hit a drop kick through the single leg drop kick through the ropes. It was actually rather impressive. Caught Riddle right on the jaw. Riddle came back with a series of strikes. He blocked a Pele kick and managed to get an ankle lock on. Balor tried to fight out with the other ankle, so Riddle let go of that, but immediately snagged the ankle the formerly free ankle. Balor aimed an injury and got back with another drop kick. Riddle came back, he had a spear and a jackhammer, only got a 2 count on it. Balor hit the 1916 Brainbuster, and only got a 2 count on that. Riddle hit a GTS, he went to the top rope, he tried to do the flow bro, but Balor dodged that. Balor then went for his coup de grace, but Riddle rolled out of that and locked on the bro mission. Balor just managed to get to the ropes. Balor dodged a kick, hit a drop kick of his own, and then hit the 1916 Brainbuster for the 3 count and the victory. Again, I don't like this. I'll leave the main roster stuff alone for now. I'll just say why I didn't like this in the match. One of the things is I keep hearing that they want to push Matt Riddle. I do like that Riddle was competitive in this match. He wasn't made to just, lay down for Balor. But this isn't pushing him. You should have him beat Balor because Balor shouldn't be going for the championship. I'll just stop there. And instead, we should be trying to push Matt Riddle towards that championship. Or I don't know what you're trying to do with this thing at this point. I don't like it. It was a decent enough match. I'll give them that. Both competitors were good. They did their things right. But it's leaving a sour taste in my mouth. And I'll get to it. I'll get to the overall thoughts on the show when we conclude. And that leads us into our main event, the men's WarGame match. The Undisputed Era of Adam Cole, Bebe, Roderick Strong, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly versus Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Dominic Dijakovic, and someone. The 4th competitor did not come out. It did imply that there was already a 4th competitor and that he was there and had big ties to NXT. So that's what's going on there. Ciampa was the first one out. Ciampa was the first guy in the ring. He basically, when he got introduced, he marched right down to the ring with his crutch, which I don't understand why he still has the crutch. He's not selling a knee injury. He has a neck injury. Strong was basically the one who went down after him. Strong took at one point, Strong didn't want to get in as long as Ciampa was holding the crutch, so Ciampa tossed the crutch to Strong and said, hey, you want it? You can have it. And Strong just chucked it out of the cage entirely. They fought. Ciampa hit a 10 punch and then a running knee. Strong came back in a gut buster. So at that point, Kyle O'Reilly was the next member up for the Undisputed Era. I guess I forgot to go over the WarGames rules there. It's the same rules as the women. The Undisputed Era won the ladder match this time through. So, yeah, that's what's going on there. Kyle O'Reilly hit a series of kicks on Ciampa. Basically, both Undisputed Era members beat up on Ciampa just long enough for Dominic Dijakovic to come out next. He came in, he immediately hit a discus kick on the Strong. He hit a lariat on O'Reilly. Unfortunately, Ciampa was a little too incapacitated, and the other 2 Undisputed Era members ganged up on Dijakovic, and this was further complicated when Bobby Fish was the next one in. He tangled Tommaso Ciampa up in the ring ropes and landed several kicks. At this point, everyone ganged up on Ciampa because now Dijakovic was a little too incapacitated. And they moved on to Dijakovic, and at this point that Keith Lee was the next one out. He managed to take down Fish and O'Reilly with a crossbody, but then again the numbers game caught up with him because his fellow competitors were a little too out of it. At this point, Adam Cole came out, and he's the one who started grabbing tables. So I think now we know why Kaylee Ray had to leave the table underneath the ring. They wanted to make sure they had enough for the main event. He started setting one up, he tossed a whole bunch in. He set one up on the outside. Unfortunately, when he tried to enter the ring, Tommaso Ciampa got just enough of a move and got just enough of strength to shove Cole off of the ring steps before he properly entered the cage and through the table that he had set up on the outside of the cage. Lee got a low blow from Fish when he went for a pile driver. All of this basically took up enough time, so this is when the 4th competitor for Team Ciampa was supposed to come out. The clock hit 0, and there's dead silence, and the Undisputed Era is basically, no one's coming out, we got this in the bag, this is over, and then suddenly Kevin Owens' music hits. Kevin Owens is the 4th member of Team Ciampa, and he comes out. He hits powerbomb on Fish and O'Reilly, hits a stunner on Cole. The tables are all set up at this point. The Undisputed Era starts fighting back. O'Reilly hits a flying knee drop onto Keith Lee's leg, and then grapevines it. Dijakovic and Fish each hit springboard moonsaults to take each other out. Strong hits a super angle slam off the top rope on, I think it was Ciampa. I want to say it was Ciampa. That sounds about right. No, wait, maybe it was Lee. It was Keith Lee, yeah, that's who it was, sorry. Cole hits Panama Sunrise on Owens onto the metal divider in between the rings. And so I guess I should say what my feelings are on Kevin Owens being in this. At least, unlike Balor suddenly showing up in NXT out of nowhere and looking like he's doing this just to slum it for a while, there is, I'll at least say there is precedent for Owens coming into this, because he got jumped by the Undisputed Era this past Monday on Raw, and Triple H has kind of been tempting him to also come back to NXT. So I can at least understand there's storyline precedent in this. That being said, I still don't entirely like it, because again, it's more main roster bleed over into NXT, and that just makes NXT feel less special. NXT should be unique to the main roster. It shouldn't be having aspects of the main roster on it. And yeah, I know they've done this before. You had Tyson Kidd and Cesaro and Natalya, but they weren't top-tier people who had been, essentially flag bearers for various points, multiple-time champions on the main roster coming down. Again, you could also already, and I know you'll say, well, Drew McIntyre as well. He was a champion. He was an Intercontinental champion on the main roster. But at least then, again, that was a break. He was out of the company for a couple of years. He went out and got to be a better wrestler on the independent scene. I don't like the bleed over. It's watering down NXT and making it less special. So out of that, anyway, the tables were mounted. Eventually, the good guys rallied back strong. They hit the angle slam. Cole hit the Panama Sunrise on the divider. Cole climbed to the top of the cage, and as this was happening, Dijakovic fought out. He choke slammed, I think it was Strong, through a table. He tried to do a short arm power bomb on Kyle O'Reilly, but O'Reilly locked on a guillotine choke. But he did manage to set O'Reilly on the table, and that enabled Owens to hit a frog splash through the table. Lee then power bombed Fish through a table, and Ciampa climbed the cage to confront Cole. They fought on top of the cage. There were two tables mounted up in the middle of the ring. Ciampa got Cole into the position so that he hit the white noise from the top of the cage through the tables and covered Cole for the 3 count of the victory. So both babyface teams win both WarGames matches. Overall, this again was a really great match. It told the story well, built the drama. The partners all got along. In this case, there were no betrayals. There was nothing of that nature. Again, I'm not a huge fan of like I said, I have a mixed bag on the Kevin Owens thing. Like I said, there's precedent, but at the same time, it still feels kind of like, we got main roster interfering in NXT, and yeah, I just don't like that. Exactly, like I don't want Kevin Owens to come down to NXT and go after the championship as well, because we've got 50 guys going after the championship who are worthy contenders, and it's like, stop. No, this is too much. You're really watering down the product here. I really don't like this. But yeah, like I said, it was a well done match, and I will give credit where it's due. It was well done. And again, overall though, this show just kind of feels kind of mixed bag to me, unfortunately. Like, I wonder if this is really the beginning of the end of the glory years for NXT, if we're just going to get main roster bleed over all the time. Or are the takeovers just going to get folded into the main roster shows? Like I said, there's talk that there's probably not going to be a WrestleMania show this year, or the pre-WrestleMania show. They might just fold it into WrestleMania itself. And, well, that would kind of be sad if that happened. Again, I want NXT to be its own unique thing, not just part of the schmoz. So overall, I am going to wind up giving NXT TakeOver WarGames a B. Too much main roster bleed over for it to be a truly, truly great show. Still really good, still really enjoyable though, so we got that going. Okay, so the next video up is going to be obviously the Survivor Series recap and review. That'll be up on Monday no matter what. It's still technically Saturday when I'm recording this, but I'm thinking I'm probably going to put this up Sunday morning. Hopefully that'll be up then. And then after that will be the Knives Out review. That'll be up on basically Thanksgiving. And then the Random Trade review on New Avengers of the Century. See you all next time. tired of me constantly talking only about WWE and NXT? Want to see me expand my wrestling coverage? Check out my Patreon at Sleepy Time for Cat Productions. Also, remember, if you like the video, give it a like, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.